Hello, everybody, and welcome back to M&J Games. I am Michael, and I am excited to be joined today by Claire. And she, for those of you who don't know, is one of the moderators on the Planet Coaster console Discord. So, Claire, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we are looking at a park called Chimp, Monkey Ape, and it is created by Industraplex. And for those of you who might think that name sounds familiar, Planet Plipcam released a video a couple weeks ago where it had with a park that was literally a kitchen like that has been shrunk. And so this is the same creator. And I'm just really excited to kind of take a look. So before we begin, because I know you kind of had a little bit of a look around, like anything kind of stand out to you?
Yeah, I love the way he's got the different areas. So as we look around, and as you can see now, he's highlighted it all with the different lighting. But
Mm-hmm.
each area has a different feel as well. They're designed differently, use different architecture and stuff. I really like that. But it's just the details that he's put into this park. There's so many little touches that are just very, very nice.
Yes, I totally agree. And so you can totally tell which area you're in based off the lighting, and they're very distinct colors. And this is definitely, like I know you said, I think we're both in the same kind of mindset when we opened up this park. It was like, oh my,
Yeah.
this is incredible.
Yeah, no, definitely. I kind of got sucked in. I always try to just have a little look and not look at too much, but I ended up looking at everything because it's really nice. But you'll see as
Right.
we go around.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get started here at the entrance. All right, so we're here at the entrance to the park, and I like this bridge kind of as you're walking over. It's, it looks kind of, I think it's those castle pieces maybe. Yeah, so it's a
Mm.
nice kind of way to hide the pathing and stuff like that.
He's put some nice little details in the floor as well, where it changes the flooring, just a nice little accent piece.
Yeah, at first it's funny. At first I almost thought that was maybe accidental because I just saw the middle one because that's, obviously not the castle piece, that's the actual pathing, but it's done like that by design, right? So like you said, it's just to kind of break it up a little bit, which I think is
Mm.
really cool doing little things like that. And we have this entrance, which I think has a chairlift maybe or some kind of transport ride on the top.
Yeah, it
Um,
does.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Integrated up inside. Yeah, sorry, it does integrated up inside up some steps.
Okay, right here. But this is awesome. I mean, it doesn't like I was not expecting this kind of walking through the entrance, and then you've got this kind of really majestic with a lot of glass kind of building. Really cool. And these are really cool transport rides too, just to kind of give you a good visual of the park. So, what are
Mm.
your thoughts of this kind of building?
I really like it. I like how he's used the different materials as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the stone on the floor, then the wood and the concrete and the glass. Like you say, it's really nice. It adds a lot of texture to the building, even though it's quite a square building. It's not too boxy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think usually, which I guess, because of how the paths are, this is a little bit different. Usually I like to use a lot of flooring to kind of cover up any grass. But I
Mm.
think what he did to kind of hide that fact is kind of putting some plants and stuff here
Yeah.
to make it look like, obviously that's intentional. So I think that's a cool little touch.
Mm.
Um,
It's like
which,
inside outside.
yeah, absolutely. Which way you want to go? We want to go straight or to the, I guess we can't go to the right. So let's go left or straight. Which way?
Should we go straight? It sort of takes us straight up. I think it leads us straight to one of the areas.
Oh yeah, this was a. Imagine falling down that hill. That
Yeah,
is
it would
a
hurt.
that's a steep incline right there. Um, oh, these are cool signs. So it's the directional signs of which way to go for whichever area. I wonder how he came up with the name for this or why he decided to call it this. Um, but it's
You
very
know, makes it nice and easy to find on the workshop though.
yeah, no kidding. Have you ever used the like online? I mean, obviously it's all online, but like on a computer or something, trying to find
um,
stuff.
I've done it on my phone before, so logging onto the workshop on my phone, but it's still not brilliant.
Ah, it's awful because you type in a name and then it's like anything that remotely resembles that name pops up, but then you try to sort it and then it all of a sudden sorts everything that's been loaded to the workshop, not just the park name that you typed in.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like you said, this is pretty easy to find, but right away, we're met with a lot of colors. I love the fencing, how it kind of matches the lighting color,
Mm.
and just really, really good detail kind of right away. And these buildings are just awesome.
I love the buildings, and I love how he's used the temple pieces, but he's mixed up the colors so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel generic. Like lots of these parks, and I mean, I've done it myself. Everyone played with the temple pieces when we got them,
Yeah.
but they all end up looking the same. And actually, the way he's done the coloring, it it doesn't feel like something I've seen before.
Yeah, agreed. Well, and I think if I'm trying to click on this because I think this right here is actually. Let me
One of
see
the
if I can.
castle pieces.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, so it's mixing in kind of like you were saying, not just the changing of the colors of the wall, but also mixing in the building types to where with the lighting, it still looks like a temple piece, but it's actually the
Mm,
castle wall. That's a really really cool touch.
no, it works
Um,
really well.
yeah, I guess that's just a staff room, and then over here, um, we got a ride. I don't know if this
Entrance to
leads.
a ride.
Yeah, flat ride or coaster, I don't know, but this is. I mean, this is just a cool building. Oh wow, look at
Very
this.
cool. I think this might be the coaster, but I might
Mhm.
be wrong.
That's a cool kind of archway right there. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
there's lots of these around the park. Oh, it was for this, which I
Yeah.
loved when I was looking at walking around like a big gong.
Mm-hmm. And I love too how it's supported too. Like you
Mm.
got these big supports here that are, in theory, holding it up, and then the coaster track going through the middle is just
And then
incredible.
the flat ride would go through the supports because he's left enough room and thought about it. So,
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Oh wow.
yeah, when I was looking at this when I was walking around yesterday, I was like, that's very well done.
Yes, very well done. One thing everybody's gonna see kind of going through this park is just the lighting and using of art pieces and wall signs to kind of really make the coasters and rides unique. So let's see now. So I don't know if there's anywhere else to go this way. Oh, we can't go around this way. Okay. It's so easy when you're in parks like this to just get lost.
I got lost looking around this yesterday. I missed a whole chunk of it and then was like, oh, yeah, so you're leaving this section again, so we need to go back in. I think there's another flat ride in here and the coaster.
Yeah, there's one. There's a flat ride over here. I think this kids ride, this kind of balloon, um, this balloon ride. Maybe the only suggestion I have, and we all have our things in the game that we kind of like to do, right? So I wonder your thoughts on this is doing some kind of custom curbing.
Yeah,
Like
maybe.
I know that gets tough to do. That's basically done right here. Just kind of creating those kind of borders because I don't know about you, but I don't like the curbs in this game. So well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's always it's that issue though, isn't it, with piece count? Because the pathing can
Mm-hmm.
take up so much piece count if you do try to cover it all or put your own fences in all the way along. So
Yeah.
I kind of tend to go for the if it's needed in an area, I'll do it. But
Right.
otherwise, if I can use the in-game stuff, I do. I try to get a bit of a balance just purely because of the counter. But that's
Absolutely.
again just me.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was getting. On your opinion, obviously we all play it differently, but this is like, look at this flat ride skin. This is amazing.
It's
Just the
beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And then you've also got because I was looking at this and just I would see stuff like this. I'm like, how do you do that lighting? And I think these are actually wall signs. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're the just wall signs that are just lit and I mean just create that really cool kind of coloring feel to it, which is just amazing. And
And he's
I'm
used that throughout in all around the park and on the coasters as well. He's done that quite a lot and it's
mm-hmm.
very effective. I think a few people I've seen it done a couple of times before, but not in this way. And I think people will now be looking at this for ideas.
Absolutely. And this is cool little uh I guess water feature. It's not necessarily a pool because they can't jump in it, but um, yeah, I mean that's cool to kind of take you to the chairlift. And now I'm trying to just figure out where is the entrance to this coaster because this is
I'm sure it was in one of the buildings, if I
okay
remember.
because it says the sign to go here. It's this way,
Mm,
so yeah, it's easy to get lost in this park for sure.
definitely. I'm sure it was up into one of the buildings, but again, I
Yeah,
might be
we'll find
wrong.
it. Oh, here it is. You're right. this building right here. Like this is amazing because it's like, I mean, I would not have thought to look inside a building for this queue.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I noticed this as well yesterday when I was looking around the park, that what you can see on the surface is just half the park. It's
Oh, for sure.
lots of it's hidden either in buildings or below the ground, and that's so difficult to do in the game. It hates being underground or
Yes, it does.
trapped.
And so, I would love to know from you, Industraplex, if when you watch this, is did you kind of build this part first and then just shape the terrain around it, or kind of what was the process? Because you're right. I mean, I couldn't imagine building this whole area underground after the fact.
No,
This is just
not to get
insane.
it this neat, I don't think.
Yeah.
It can be done, but it's hard to line things up properly because the camera just doesn't allow you to move around. So yeah, I'd love to know what order he did it in.
hmm But this is what you're talking about with the
Yeah.
lighting. So it's taken, um, I guess those outside pieces are just scaffolding pieces, and then placing these edible vertical signs in it. I mean, that just gives such a cool kind of look and design to the ride.
Hmm.
So let's, without further ado, let's look at the stats real quick, and then we'll take a ride on the coaster. Wow, that's impressive to get it that high in the greens, over 7 like that. So G forces, and then we got 5 inversion, 6 airtime hills. So we'll take a ride on the coaster. All right, Claire. So I'll ask you first. What are your thoughts about this coaster?
It's spectacular. I love the integration with the park, how
Mm-hmm.
when you're on it, you can see around this whole area, and the guests can see you. But again, like we were pointing out before, the signs and how the lighting is everywhere, it's just really clever.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think the lighting to me is just what really sets it apart. Um, just especially all the tunnels you go in, it just amazes me the creativity. And I mean, you're for this person to impress you too, because I know how creative of a person you are with your designs and stuff. Really shows how well they kind of created and designed the everything that goes around the coaster, right?
Yeah,
Um, and
it's spectacular, and I'd love to know. So I'm guessing the coaster must have gone in first,
that
but
would be my
then
guess. Yeah.
I'm wondering if the coaster was planned with an idea of where it wanted to go, if that makes sense. So where he
hmm
wanted buildings and things in his head. I'd like to know the thought process because it's so complicated.
Yeah, I agree. And I would love, I mean, this to me is one of the coolest parts because it is just a mess of coaster track. And then
Mm,
you've got it weaving in and out of everywhere, like just the lighting. It's insane, to say the least. It's,
no, it is. It's beautiful.
yeah, lost for words for it. Oh, I just noticed kind of how large that kind of tower is right there. And, well, it's also a good use too of the vintage lighting pieces. Because a lot of
Mm.
times I'm like, when am I going to use this? And they made really good use of it throughout this whole park.
Yeah, it's just again, it's all the different pieces used together. It just shows if you do mix things up, it can still pull together and look cohesive. Because I mean, this is meant to be an ancient temple, but then you've got all of the modern lighting and the neon and
Mm-hmm.
the basic shapes, but it works, and it
Yeah.
maybe shouldn't work.
Totally agree. And then, I mean, how about this building? So I think this is actually, I think this is to the river rapids. But I mean, this
Yeah.
building is insane. Wow. I mean, just to build something like this too, because I mean, we've all experienced the fact that Planet Coaster is really good for building boxes and squares. But if you want to
Hmm.
build anything that's not a box or a square, it gets really really tough and tedious. And just to build a building to this size and magnitude, that's basically I didn't count how many sides there were, but more like an octagon type shape is
Mm.
just insane. And then to have the walkway in the middle here is um, just really really cool.
It's again, it's just a clever use of the pieces, and again, it's incorporating another ride, so it's got function as well as
Mm-hmm.
being very attractive. And again, mixing up all these colors and everything, just
Absolutely.
pure imagination.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think this is heading to the other area because I think this area's just got one coaster, and we'll go back to the river rapids because I'm just kind of following the path at this point. But now we're in kind of this whole lava mountain area, which is really well done. I've never used any of the lava pieces, but this is
It's
pretty
very
insane.
cool in here. And again, it's another one of these huge buildings that isn't a square. This whole building is a dome, I believe, inside a mountain.
Yeah, let's take the. Oops. Oh yeah, so it's inside a mountain, so it's supposed to look kind of like a volcano, is my guess.
Yeah.
Um, and so you got the flat, or no, not the flat ride. You got the lift hill there that um, looks like it's coming out of the volcano like that. But yeah, I mean, this is just absolutely impressive. And then those temple block pieces are so versatile.
Mm.
'Cause I wish we could take the ceiling pieces and actually lean them, but this is crazy.
It's a really big pet peeve of mine that we can't tilt some of the pieces in the game.
I
It
know,
really
right?
bugs me.
I mean, there are just certain things in this game that I mean, this to me is one of the best. I mean, the best game I've ever played.
Mm.
Just with the creativity and stuff. But there are some things that I'm like, you really couldn't. Like, how difficult is it to write the code for that? Or like, um, the one that bugs me is not being able to remove the curbs on elevated paths. I'm
I
like,
hate it. Ah, I'm having this issue at the moment. I'm trying to build something and I can't, and the floor's up to people's knees, and I
yeah,
hate
it's
it.
just. Oh, I know it's awful because it's like, you can do that on the ground path. Why can't you do it on the elevated path? And then I'm like you, where I don't mind the feet kind of barely clipping, but I don't want it to look like they all of a sudden don't have feet. And so it just kind of drives me crazy.
Yeah. No, I having real big problems with it at the moment in one of the parks I'm doing. And people disappeared up to their waists at one point, and I
Oh,
was like, oh, I give up. And I've left that bit alone for a while.
yeah, come back to it. Need to get some more inspiration, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the name for this, Deep Crevice, because that's kind of what this feels like it is. That's awesome. So if we look at the stats real quick, oh wow, that might be the highest stats I've ever seen on a roller coaster, like in terms of the excitement rating, where
Oh,
everything
really?
else is green as well. That's impressive.
They're a
This
very
is,
cool coaster from memory.
yeah, G-force a little bit high, but like to me, so um, I love realism with coasters, but then there are certain parks that you open up and it's like I could care less if they're rough or whatever. It's like it's more about the experience of it, right? And this
Yeah.
is definitely one of those where it's about like just everything surrounding the coaster. All right, so we just got off the deep crevice, and I mean, that is just such a cool kind of design with it. Now, we'll say there are a couple inversions that were not the most friendly to the human body, but the kind of layout and design of it is just like, I mean, just on the top of this mountain, and the fact that the lift hill comes up through the top of the volcano area is just so well done. So, what are your thoughts, Claire?
Yeah, I agree. I love how it does jump up and down. Like
Mm-hmm.
considering that the park is called Monkey Ape Chimp, it did kind of feel like you were swinging through trees almost to me. The way
Ah,
that it sort of goes, that's just how I've perceived it. But again, like I said before, I just love the way that it interacts with everything in the park. Like in a minute, the coaster is involved in a queue line for another ride, and
right.
it's just such a lovely sight line. And yeah, I just love how it's all integrated.
Yeah, this is. Oh, and then I didn't realize this comes up through the mountain as well.
Yeah,
Um,
another flat ride there, and then over the other side, it's involved in one of the queue lines, so it just links into everything.
and then I mean, the time was taken to make sure that this wasn't just terrain, that we had these um, curved panel walls kind of outlining it. I mean, that's
Mm.
just really cool. And I think my favorite part about this area is how majestic the entrances look. Like, I mean, that one looks cool, but I think it was it
This
that
side.
one? Or maybe this side, yeah, where you got the stairs, and then you've got obviously that kind of temple or stone with the lava coming out of it. Just really cool.
Yeah, completely agree. And again, it's using the other pieces in the game. So using the lava in this area, it's not everywhere, but the way it's used over here, it's just a nice little accent piece to define this area.
Mm-hmm. And then how about the look of that dome from right here? I mean, really good sight lines in this park.
Really good. And it looks real. Like when
Mm-hmm.
you are in some countries where they've got this architecture, that is the sort of sightlines you get. Maybe not those colours. And that's what making this park interesting. You've got the sightlines that look correct, but then it's just mixed up and made a bit more interesting in places. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is cool.
Oh no,
All
I'm
the
glad
different
I
angles.
I'm glad I turned down here because this is just a basic queue for a flat ride that nobody wants to go on, but yet it's maybe the coolest queue in the park. That
Yeah,
is
that was
really cool.
awesome.
Really cool. Oh, here comes the family. Um, but yeah, when you're talking about different countries, one thing that kind of talking with a lot of Planko players from the UK and all around the world, like it's really cool how if you live in Europe and you want to travel, it's at least talking to Tommy, it seems like it's not too crazy expensive to travel within Europe, and it's not such a long distance either.
No,
So
it's
that's
not too bad.
yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Sometimes quicker to get on a plane and go to another country than it is to travel the length of our own country because of all the roadworks everywhere.
That's crazy. That is crazy to me. I couldn't imagine that. Oh, I guess this one is part of the other section, the River Rapids. But yeah, it's interesting though because just with how big the United States is, like I was driving back to my house from my dad's house over Christmas break, and it's like 450 miles, and I travel through four different states, but it's like that's just not even a fraction of the country, basically. um,
It's it is crazy how big it is. My brain can't quite work it out. It is
yeah,
literally like us traveling across the whole of Europe, I suppose.
yeah,
Sort of mental.
yeah. Interesting for sure. So now here we're at the River Rapids, and once again changing up the building style, building pieces, and using some trim kind of around the edges. So now you can tell that we're in a different area just because obviously the building pieces are different. Oh, that was the exit. Gotta find the entrance for it.
Even got pretty exits.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what Maddie does every once in a while and be like, all right, I gotta cheat and look and see.
It's
Um,
over this side, isn't it? I
um,
think you walk up and round and over. You walk through a
oh
building
yeah,
again, I think.
you're right. Okay.
I'm sure it's a different side.
Yeah, right here. Here it is. I like this little queue covering too.
Mm.
Using the ivy and the plants hanging down.
But again, this is where this park is ever so clever because this to me feels quite compared to the rest of the park. This area feels quite modern. Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
modern, but like 1930s kind of
Yeah.
architecture. Um, Whereas everything else is obviously all the ancient buildings. That's quite cool. Nice
Yeah, we
little
got an aquarium. That is
just
cool.
next to it. That's very cool. Um, but it still feels like the same park. And
Right.
that's impressive to me that it's got such different styles in the areas, but it still feels like one park. I think maybe because these wood pieces were used at the entrance. It's not the
Yeah.
first time we've seen them.
Yeah, I can totally see that. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a ride on the river rapids. All right, Claire. So, what really stood out to you about this water ride?
I think it's really impressive for the size of the footprint that this ride is taking up, how long it actually is, because he's got it weaving in and out of itself again and again.
Hmm.
So it doesn't take up much of the park, but it's actually a really substantial ride.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think for me, I just love the areas where he used a lot of the rocks and stuff to kind of mask the track to where you don't actually see the track, where it looks like it's actually a flowing river. And that's just such a cool kind of design, and using the terrain to do that as well. Really clever in my opinion. And like you
Mm,
said, it's a lot of kind of the track almost weaves in and out about as much as a river rapids can weave in and out of itself.
mm.
Um,
And it's
Great
exactly
views.
the same film as the coasters, because his coasters have all done the same as well. So it's again a continuation. It you can tell he's created it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just the views. Like, I think it was this one when you come up the top of this hill. I know you're not seeing the park, but especially here at kind of dusk. I think I said that right.
Yeah.
You just get the great view of kind of the mountains and stuff. And Planet Coaster knows what they're doing when they made the lighting for the sundown and sunrise, but not so much in
Definitely.
terms of the light going through buildings.
Yeah. Yeah, we all have a peeve with that. I think that's across the whole of the Planko community. We
Yeah.
sometimes want it dark and it won't let us. But I
Hmm.
also love, just before you zoom off, how it had this shot of the lighthouse
Oh
from
yeah.
upshot with the sky, because that lighthouse is seriously impressive. I was
Hmm.
looking at this for a long time. It's really well done.
Yeah, and kind of like you said before, the amount of different building pieces that are used here. You
Hmm.
got the castle pieces. You've got I think those are whatever those are called. On my
Like the
blanking now.
support beams, I think.
Yeah,
The
or
support beams.
that's actually part of the wall. I was thinking these little pieces underneath were individual pieces that were placed there. But that actually is part of that piece. So that's really cool.
Mm.
And then the top of this, like this has got to be, if not the most, one of the most detailed lighthouses I've seen on the console version. And
I think it is for me. When I was looking at this yesterday, I didn't actually quite realize in game how many different sort of circle sizes we had for
mm-hmm,
curved buildings. I didn't realize there was this many, because I was looking at it going, how has he got all these different sizes? And
that's a good point.
I, I just clearly haven't looked hard enough. So yeah,
Yeah,
really. And on the top there's a basic shape. It's the use of just everything, again a mishmash, but it looks cohesive and as one. It's really well
absolutely.
done.
Yeah, really, really amazing. Um, and just the interaction of the rides with kind of the terrain or set pieces here. Like you've got this log flume we're gonna go on in a bit that goes through the boat. The boat's kind of part of this building technically right here, and I
Yeah,
love
and
this little
also
food
he's,
building.
sorry to butt in, because this boat I was looking at as well, I've just remembered the boat. He's built all of the bottom section. So for ages I was looking at this going, this isn't the boat in game. How's he done this? But if you select the top bit, he's sunk the boat into a building that he's created the same shape and style,
Yeah,
and it just looks like one. It's it's so well done.
yeah. So let's see if we can move this up so everybody can see. Yeah, so there's the boat that comes in game, and then everything else he made to make it look like you said, that that's just a much larger steamboat. um, that's just insane. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
I
I
was
don't.
looking at this
Uh,
for a while.
yeah. See, I noticed that like it was obviously different, but I didn't notice that at least this portion up here was created custom. So that's why I have somebody else on this with me to point out all the little things that I miss. Um,
Oh, we all miss things. There's so much to, especially this park. There's a massive amount to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only advice I would give, or at least suggestion to me, that I feel like is, I would do something with kind of, I know I mentioned this before, but kind of the edges of the paths. Um, like I think here is fine, but where you kind of get by the buildings and stuff, whether it's laying down, um, tile pieces, like ceiling pieces, or even if it's just
Mm,
like some kind of trim that kind of outlines the path. Um, at least that's my suggestion, but this is a really, really cool building.
indeed. And inside as well, just adding that detail to the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. That is really cool. And does this bug you as well with the glass pieces? Like, why is it that the glass pieces don't like when you put them next, like when you spread them apart, how they're supposed to be spread apart, they still create this weird line. It just
Yep,
drives me insane.
yep.
But
I don't like the glass in game, just generally because I'm a little bit blind. So when I'm placing it, I tend to lose it, and I've definitely put a bit somewhere and I can't
yeah,
find it.
well,
But
I've
yeah,
realized
no,
this.
the line bugs me as well.
Yeah, you gotta like color it a certain way. Like I think, for example, so with that one, this it's just colored black. So if you color it, oops, hold on. If you color it like more of a whiter gray, or maybe that didn't do anything, did it? Maybe it's because we're looking up at the sky. But there's one way where it's like it really does kind of. Oh, there it is. So you can kind of see
It's a
that.
bit more visible.
Yeah. So the lighter you go, the more visible it is.
Um,
And so if you're kind of having trouble seeing it, just color it a little bit lighter as you're making it, just to help you see it. Because I mean, it's to me, it's the same way. I'm like, did I even put glass there? But it's like the angle you're looking at it. So
yeah,
we all,
depending on where the light is. It does it with all the pieces in game though, but it's just my eyesight, so it's just my problem.
I love the signs in this park. Like here, I mean, it's just using the in-game vintage style pieces, but it's putting these supports kind of on either side of it that are so detailed. And I mean, this bridge is awesome. Wow, this
Really
bridge is
nice.
cool.
And
Really,
there's
really well
another
done.
lovely bridge as well. Talking of bridges over in,
Woo.
I think it's the chimp section as well. If we have time at the end,
Oh yeah.
there was another bridge over there that was really well done that I remember looking at.
How about this bridge? I thought the bridge that I made on Avery Forest was a fairly good bridge, and then this one puts it to shame. Like this is insane. Wow.
Got all the cabling and everything. It's very London Bridge. That's
Yeah, I
what it
could see
feels
that.
like a little bit to me.
Well, and it's all the different pieces. Like you got concrete column, you got stucco pillar. What do we have here on the bottom? You got vintage piece. Like I'm just not good with like mixing different building types to where I'm like, yeah, I could do vintage and concrete and stucco all in the same building and it works. um, Gosh, this is crazy.
It's very impressive. And then putting all the support wires in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So we got a little Ferris wheel here, which all you gotta have a Ferris wheel in a theme park, I feel like.
Definitely.
And then this too, just having um,
The
these pipes
pipes.
going. Yeah, just kind of the extra detail there, and then you've got the pipes actually going over here and taking water from kind of the log flume area. Impressive.
It's very cool. And it shows that this is the water area of the park. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
think pipes, you think plumbing, you think water. So it's just a subtle nod to where you've come from. Because I think as you go back round here, I'm sure it takes you to one of the other areas in a minute. So it's quite close to the entrance of this area.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's like the colors kind of almost let you know kind of where you're in the park, right? Like blue with water, red with lava, and then I guess I
The
don't.
lovely pinky colours
Yeah,
in the
I don't know
middle.
how that. I don't know how that really describe the middle one, but the lovely pink colors, as you said. Um, yeah, I mean, once again, good cue. Terrain's coming through just a little bit, but that's so tough to deal with. Or those could be rocks that are made as well.
Mm. I
And
don't think it damages this park though, because of the amount of terrain that's been used everywhere. All
mm-hmm,
the buildings are slightly sunk into the terrain, so it annoys
yeah,
me more when you see that when it's just one bit of terrain and everything else is neat, because you know the person's missed it, and you like I've done it myself, and I spot a bit of terrain, and I'm like, damn it, I missed that bit. It's frustrating.
yeah, agreed. That's so weird that it's. Oh, I guess that's a building piece. I was just wondering I guess I hate too how you're trying to click on a piece that's attached to the station and it automatically clicks on the station.
Yep.
Uh, it's annoying. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a ride on the log flume. All right, so we just got off the log flume, and one thing that really stood out to me is, I mean, first of all, it's once again got a lot of interaction with the area. I love these kind of, I don't know if you necessarily call them scenery pieces, whatever you call these, because they're not really necessarily supporting anything, but they tie into this, as you said, London Bridge style bridge over here. But I just love too how this station resembles the other one, where you definitely know you're in the same area of the park, but yet at the same time it's very different. And so I think it's just really really well done, and love this area. This is just so cool.
It's
to,
just very pretty, and I, I keep getting a bit speechless with this park because it's just things I've I've seen before, but I've not seen done this way, if that makes sense. I've seen people line tunnels, I've seen people do open stations like this. I've done some, but I've never seen them done like this, exactly this
Mm-hmm.
way. It does feel quite fresh to me, and it's nice. It's quite refreshing to see.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of reminds me of, I mean, you got the lifeboats there. I mean, I think you mentioned this while a second ago too, was, I mean, it's supposed to resemble a boat, right?
Mm.
um, so that's just so cool. Just all the extra detail put in. Really, really impressive. And I think we basically looked at, oh, we got this ride. So just to save some time to make sure we're not going over not keeping this too long, we'll kind of go around the track here, but we won't ride the ride just because these kind of, they all kind of generally do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So I guess this one goes
The other way.
this way. Yeah, this way. So we'll kind of see. I love these bridges. They're just awesome. And bridges are tough to make just because it's hard to align it to the path.
Mm.
Like I think you probably agree with this as well. Is I wish they had like you can do with the station when you can align your build on the station and align the building pieces to the station. I wish they had the same type thing with the path.
Yeah.
Like so, and I love this little cove area, this little lake, little spot. But yeah, so I think you said there was one more thing we wanted to make sure and check
There
out
was
over
just
here.
one bridge. So if you go over to Chimp, so the volcano area.
Oh, this part's cool, real quick, because I don't think we saw this real quick.
No.
Little little diner area with the flat ride. Yeah. So you said go over to the chimp area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is the yellow and red area.
Oh, the monkey. Oh, my bad. Chimp. Yeah, you're right. Over this way.
And then if you cross this bridge here, so
Oh,
he's
that's
built
cool.
his own suspension bridge, but it's all completely paraffin and just the supports, but it's where it interacts with this coaster as well. I just, for a queue line for a flat ride, I just thought it was really nice.
That's a queue line. Wow, that is. I guess it is because it's the the pathing is so narrow, so it has
Yeah.
to be a queue line. Wow, I didn't even notice that. See, that's why it's better when I have somebody else on here because picking up all these little things that really just are so unique. And once again, I mean, not just even that, you've got the cool kind of entrance here,
Mm.
chimp hinge. um, wow, I'm just amazed. This is amazing, and I love this bridge too.
Yeah, it's really nice, and you've got the exit, so this is going back to the main entrance down here, I think.
Hmm. So I'm guessing. Oh, and you got these little signs that say, what's it? Deep crevice. Yeah, really cool. Yeah, so here's the really, really narrow road where people probably take a tumble. Um, yeah, that's really, really cool. So any kind of final thoughts or anything you want to, I guess maybe what stood out to you most in this park? If you had to pick one area or a ride, what really stood out to you the most?
I think it was the coaster and monkey.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people that know or have spoken to me at some stage to do with this game know I'm not the best with coasters. They're not exactly my friend. And for someone to be able to build something like this with the interaction with everything, I find it very impressive.
Yeah, I agree with you because we're kind of opposite in that I feel like coasters is part of my forte, whereas I'm like making signs and stuff and seeing all the stuff you do. I'm like, I don't know how how you do that. But then just the interaction, like you said, I mean, building all these buildings around the coaster is insane and intense, and then how tedious it must have been to make all the different signs as well.
Mm.
Um, because I like making a coaster. I don't necessarily love doing all the theming and stuff. So to make it like this is just, I mean, lost for words for it. Kind of like you said multiple times. Um,
Mm.
was that also
Just
your favorite?
beautiful.
Yeah, was that also your favorite area in the park as well?
I think it was. I
Hmm.
I really like the lighting, and like we said when we looked round, I like the way he's used the different building pieces in a way that looks correct for the architecture but feels new. And
Yeah,
again, I find that very impressive, the creativity.
yeah, I agree. I think my second favorite part would probably be this this ape section. I mean, the lighting's really nice. That blue lighting looks really good. But I agree with you.
Mm.
It's everything about it. The coaster, the architecture, the lighting, the signs created, like even something like this, right? I mean, that's just awesome. And
Yeah,
is that
and
custom
he's even
supported
got
there?
the.
No.
I was gonna say he's got supports the lighting as well. He's got little
Yeah.
nuts and bolts and things on them. Attention to detail.
Yep. It's just really, really impressive. One thing I should have mentioned at the beginning too, but for anybody who hasn't, Jasmine recently did a tour on Claire's Park, um, and it was, oh gosh, Claire, I'm blanking on the name now. It was just in my head a second
Fantasy
ago.
Falls. Fantasy Falls. Fantasy Falls.
Fantasy Falls. There you go. So if you love Disney, if you love that kind of style, go check that out because Claire, you're one of the best at making those signs, and I don't know how you did it. So
Thank you.
make sure to click on the link and check out Jasmine's tour of that. And any final closing thoughts, Claire?
No, I think I've said everything. I'm still pretty lost for words with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this. We'll definitely need to do some more of these, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.